Okay. 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 So secondary sources was my first one. What I originally knew before coming into 1302 about secondary sources was that they're articles or they're papers or stories or journals or books or writings or something that's my teacher provides for me to use inside a research paper. Like last semester, you gave us the Gillum research the as a source, and you gave us Kant's and Hassenflower and so many. So that's what I knew about sources. They're papers that your teacher gives to you that she's gonna want, or a professor that he or she might want you to use in your research paper, your essay, etc. So what I learned this semester about secondary sources is that you yourself have to go and find them. Your teacher isn't always going to give it to you and be like, here you go, Mabel. These are the sources that you're going to use. They're good. Use them in your paper to write it. So, being said that, I learned how we did it through this. We went through the UTRGV Library Division of Academic Affairs. You go in and you click. I already clicked one, and it sent me to this one, the EBSCO and you type in. So I did brujeria, and we searched, and then as I was running, we press search, and papers will come out. This one only had one, but if you were to go to a different one, several more would come out. So yeah, so we went here, and those gave us our sources. Before knowing how to do this, once you said that we were gonna have to go find our own sources, I was a bit scared and I was a bit like, what? Like, how am I supposed to find these? Where do I find these? Do I just go on Google and type in sources, or what am I supposed to do? So I learned that you can go to the library at the University of UTRGV and just type in what you want and it'll give it to you. And there's sources that are accredited. And that being said, that they look before they post. So they check them before they post them for you to use them here. So that's what I learned. I learned how to find sources even that weren't through Google. They were through a search engine that is reliable. This will be helpful so much in my history class. You don't even know how much it has saved me. This semester we were doing. He likes to do a lot of papers, and for us to include sources. And in the beginning, I'm like, where am I supposed to find sources? But then you kind of like when you were teaching us this, we hadn't done the sources yet, so I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much help. So this has helped me. The search engine has helped me in my classes, especially my history class. So then, so how did I? That's how it works. And it was. It's actually pretty easy, so anyone can do it. It's not hard. So I think I answered all 4 questions. Okay. Another thing that I learned through secondary sources was that they're not always real, and they're not always the best sources to use. And that there's a way to find out which ones are good and which ones are bad. How did I learn through that? How did I learn that was with the crap sheets. So crap sheets. We did 4 crap sheets. We got 4 sources, and we basically, this is the template. We kind of just put what was like the main stuff that we needed, like the year it was published, the author's name, who the author was, what it was, her education, what was the topic about, and doing these crap sheets, it gives us like kind of like a summary of the author and the book. And with this, we played a game, and it was we brought all our 4 sources, and the sheet it's a character sheet, and you gave it to a person and they filled it out for you. So the first one would be like how many points you got. The main goal was to get the highest points as possible, because if you got positive points, that means that your source is credible, it is great, and it's a very strong one. And if your character number were to be really low, that means it's a bad source, that it's not the best one to use for your research essay. So that's what I learned. I learned how that there are strong sources and there are weak sources, and I learned how to tell which one were the strong ones and which ones were the crappy ones. So, and it was through my crap sheets and through the game. The game was so much help, and I feel like the game was made it a little bit more fun, because this was kind of like oh, I have to fill out everything. So yeah, that's what I learned. I learned how to differentiate from good sources and strong sources from bad and weak ones. And it was through crap sheets and through the game we played with, the character sheets. So yeah, I will definitely use the crap sheet in a way that maybe rearranging it a little bit for my history class, just so I know which ones are good ones and which ones are bad ones. And I'll definitely use the sheet that tells us like it'll give you so many points if it's up to date, or if it was a journal, and if the author was reliable or had any background in this topic for my history class. That is one way that I will use in the future for all my history classes, or even in any other, like if I were to take another English class, I would definitely use these crap sheets for any of my papers, so I can find the strongest sources, so it'll bump up my grade and I'll be really good, and it'll be a good concrete paper. So next would be the writing process question. Okay, so before I knew how to write with someone holding my hand, if that makes sense. Last semester, you made us get all our prep work, and then you helped us create a layout of our prep work. So this semester, I learned how to, in a way, create my own layout with not as much help from you and from my peers. By that I mean, like, I learned how to get my paper to look like this. To get all of this, to get all of these things and make it into a paper. That's what I learned. I learned how to create a paper from all my research, from all my papers and all my crap sheets and all my critiques and all my I used all the prep work that we did to create a paper. So, no, that doesn't make sense. Let me rearrange that. Sorry. I basically got all the prep work and made my own layout. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I learned. I learned how to create my own layout for my research paper. Because before, you gave us the layout and we kind of basically just filled in the blanks. As in now, we had all the things, we had all the work, and we had to create that. We had to create our own paper without having you guide me. So that's what I learned. It was hard at first, I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, okay, I have all these things, I have all my sources, I did all the worksheets and all the work was there. I had to go and lay it out myself. I had to go with first my conclusion, then I had to put my sources in order, and I had to put what was right, what were my critiques, I just have to do all the hard work. No, not the hard work. I don't know how to say it. Like, not the busy work, but I had to mainly get all the work and create an essay. So that's what I learned. Yes. Okay, I think I repeated that. I'm sorry. It's because I'm really scared. Okay. In my writing process, I learned how to create a paper. Because before I didn't, we created a paper, but you helped us create this paper. And I feel like this one, we created the paper. We had all the prep work and we created the paper. As in last semester of my previous knowledge, we had all the prep work and you gave us an outline, so that was kind of like creating the paper. We were just putting in with all the stuff we knew. So this semester I learned how to write my own paper with work that I gathered. So now my paper is a mess, obviously, but it's my mess that I created that with time it will get better because I'll know where to put what goes where. Like here I know I struggled with how to put in my secondary sources, and with a little bit of your help, well, not a little bit, with a lot of your help, I kind of got the sense of how I'm supposed to lay them out, if that makes sense. So yeah, this will definitely help because I know there's not going to be teachers being like, okay, here you go, Mabel. This is how I want you to write your essay. No, they just give you a topic and you go for it. Like, it's you and you yourself. I mean, you can go ask people for help, and that's what I did here. But my professors aren't going to be there and holding my hand and telling me, okay, here goes this, here goes that, here goes this. So I feel like you taught me how to write my own research paper with stuff that I gathered. So I think that was a tremendous amount of help because now I can confidently write my own paper without having to be like, what's next? Or how do I write this? Or how do I do this? Or what if this doesn't go there? Like, now I have a better ease of like, okay, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. You just need to really be clear with what you have to put into your essay, if that makes sense. I'm probably all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm so stressed. I don't want to get this wrong. Okay. So yeah, that's what I learned through my writing process. And I learned that also that you're not gonna it's okay to have a crappy paper as long as you have everything that you want. Like my paper could be a mess, but as long as I get my like what you as long as what you ask for is in there, I know that it'll be okay. As into pat, it'll be an okay paper. I know it might not be grammatically correct or like I might be all over the place, but I know that I put in the stuff that you wanted. So that's what I learned, that my paper will be okay. You gave us next question. I teach secondary source writing process. My next one is my peer feedback. I know I took you last semester, so that I was kind of used to the asking for help on my paper on how to ask for help, for asking for feedback. But I got feedback in when we went into groups for when we were writing our no feedback. I was familiarized with the way that you worked with feedback, which was asking for it like this, and then someone will respond to you in a way that they can help you. But the peer feedback that I learned this time around was talking to other people and making my idea go from one to going from something bland to something like wow. There was when we were doing groups because we were trying to find what we could create to solve our research question. I was really lost. I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, the only in my head, the only thing I thought was possible to do was a flyer, but you said no flyer, so I was like, oh my god, I'm done. Like, what am I supposed to do? Then you're like, get in groups and just kind of spitball ideas and see what works here and what maybe they can help you with something. So I learned that. So I sat down and we was like, okay, guys, like she said, no flyers. Like I feel like mine needs to be a flyer because I'm kind of doing awareness. And then that's when Kayla, she's like, what if like you do games like 14-year-olds love games, especially board games. I'm like, you're right, yeah, it's so true, but I don't even know where to begin. She's like, what about Pie Face? I know I love playing that game, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I have that game at home. And then like I guess I learned that if you talk to someone else and you throw them their ideas and they think maybe they might have better ideas than what you originally thought. And it obviously did work because I feel like my solution to my research question was something that I would have never thought on my own. Like who would have thought a board game could tell you whether a video is telling you the truth or if the video is telling you pure BS. So I thought that was pretty cool how she was giving me feedback and I was giving my input on it and then we just created something really amazing. Like we went from point A to point C and it was great because it helped me in the long run. Like I would have never thought of a board game unless I had talked to her. So I learned that it's good to get feedback from other people because you get greater ideas than what you originally thought. So now I know that in any class, like if I feel like like let's say like I want to become a vet. So let's say like once I get there and I become one, like no vet is good if they're just to themselves. If they don't ask for feedback from other people. Like let's say I were to become the vet and then I open up my business and I'm like, okay, I'm doing my job, I take in dogs, blah blah blah, but I never asked for feedback. Like how am I supposed to know how that person if I'm not getting receiving feedback from my peer or even like yeah with the person I'm working with, like let's say we're doing a surgery and I just can't think of something to let's say the dog he's not having any like he can't move his leg but we're trying to save it at the same time. Like let's say if I come up with an idea like oh maybe we like start I know they're doing a lot of what's it called um putting them together. Like let's just say I was just in a slump, like I didn't know what to do, like oh my god I'm stuck, like I don't know what to do, like how am I supposed to save his leg. Like I feel like if you with this I learned that it's good to talk to people because maybe you're stuck and now let's say I talk to my coworker, I'm like okay I don't know how to tackle this, like I need help, like I might think we can use this and then she's like oh but we can use this and then we just I feel like we'll get somewhere faster and maybe somewhere better faster if that makes sense. Like I it'll work, it'll make it work because I have someone else working with me and we're just giving each other feedback on what we think about their solution and then they give about our solution and I feel like we just put our good and good and create something amazing. So yeah, I feel like that's what I learned through my research. Nope, not through my research, through my the peer feedback process. I feel like feedback helps us grow and it'll make us something great. So I think I answered all of them, but I just kind of wanted to recap just in case I missed something. But I feel like I did pretty good. So for secondary sources, I knew that there's something that you give to us and that That's something that you give to us, and that's either article, etc. I learned how, so through the secondary sources, I learned how to find them, which is through the search engine. You type in what you're looking for and it'll shoot them out, what the source is. I used it to find all my sources to make sure that they were credible and that they were good. There was no challenges using the site. There was before I knew about the site because I was kind of scared, like, where am I supposed to find these where am I supposed to find all these articles from? Like, I just didn't know where to look. But once he told me to use this search engine, then I was like, okay, I'm good. I know where to find them. It helped my writing because it made me have good, strong sources in there and not some ugly sources. Another thing I learned is that there's such thing as strong sources and as weak sources, and that you want strong sources in your research paper. It works by the crap sheets. We did we did this with the crap sheets. We kind of put all the information that we need to know. Then we played a game, um, and basically, if your crap sheet scored really high, that means it's a good strong source. And that if your crap sheet scored really low, that means a source that you would not want to use on your paper. I I would apply this for my history papers. I will I will use the crap sheet and I'll see if this is a good source that I should use or it's something that no, you shouldn't use because like it's not the best one. So I know that I'll use that in the future for history. It actually helped because I had a really bad source, and if I know that if I would have put the source in there, it would have probably brought my credibility down from my paper. Like my paper wouldn't be as credible because my sources aren't credible. Okay, the next thing was my writing process. Um, the writing process before was I knew how to write papers with someone telling me how to write papers. I knew how to write papers because I had someone telling me how to write it. Now this time I learned how to write the paper on my own. I had all the prep work and I had to make my own stuff. I had to know where to put my sources. I needed to know how to flow from introduction to my sources to my research to my conclusion and my solution. So that's what I learned. And I learned that through basically knowing that it's okay to fall and that it's not going to be perfect, but that it will be okay, if that makes sense. Next was my peer feedback. I knew peer feedback was before this semester. I knew that peer feedback was um, just you asking for your peers' input on a specific a specific um a specific part in your essay. But I didn't know what I learned was that peer feedback is sometimes a one-on-one. Like you can get feedback on your idea and maybe it'll create something better. And through that was because we were getting in groups and we were getting feedback on our inventions and we were just talking back and forth about the invention that we created something good that I by myself would have never thought. So that's what I learned. I learned how talking to your peer can get you from point A to point Z and create something amazing that you by yourself could not do. And so I feel like now I'll be more, I'll use it in the future by talking to everyone. Like, I need your feedback on this. So maybe if I'm doing something wrong, I can better myself and I can create something way better, or us together create something better that us by ourselves could not have done it. So I think that's it. I hope I did it right. Okay, I think I got everything, how it works, how I applied it, challenging. Okay, for the writing process, no, sorry, for the peer feedback, I think it was kind of challenging because I'm kind of shy And that would be the only challenging part about it, is that you'd have to be talkative and kind of just express your feelings and just go for it. Like, don't hold back on anything. And that was a challenge for me because I'm really shy and I rather keep to myself and just kind of do it everything on myself than go bother people and be like, oh hey, I'm just a real shy person. That would be the only challenging part for that. So I think that's it.